Welcome to Dog Talk Diaries. In this video, I will be talking about stab wounds, or it's also termed as puncture wounds. What do you mean by stab wound? Stab wound is a piercing wound that is produced by application of mechanical force along the long axis of a narrow or a pointed object. So whenever the mechanical force is applied over the surface of the skin by a narrow or a sharp pointed weapons, this results in stab wound. In this pictures you can see these are few stab wounds that are caused by sharp pointed objects. Always the depth of the wound is greater than the length of the wound. Let's study the classification of stab wounds. The stab wounds are classified into incised stab wounds and lacerated stab wounds. Depends upon the type of the weapons being used. In case of incised stab wounds, it is caused by sharp pointed weapons, and in case of lacerated stab wound, they are caused by not so sharp weapons or relatively blunt penetrating weapons. Further, incised stab wounds and lacerated stab wounds are classified into penetrating wounds and perforating wounds. What do you mean by penetrating wounds? These are the stab wounds that terminates in the tissues or organs or cavity. In this picture, you can see that the knife is being penetrating only one surface of the skin, and it terminates in the tissues or organs or a cavity. So in this wounds, only one surface wound is present. How many surface wounds are present? Only one surface wound is present due to entry of the blade, and no exit wound as the stab terminates in the tissues or organs or a cavity. This is termed as a penetrating wounds. What do you mean by perforating wounds? These are the stab wounds that are passing the body through and through. In this picture, you can see that the knife is being passed from one surface of the body to another surface of the body. So two surface wounds can be seen: exit wound and entry wound. So the former is called as entry wound and the later is called as exit wound. Here, whatever the wounds that is formed, it's called as entry wound. The wound that is formed here, it's called as exit wound. These are termed as perforating wounds. What are the characteristics of stab wound? How does the margins of stab wound look like? It is clear cut, and they do not have any abrasions or they do not have any bruising. But in full penetration of blade, bruising may be produced by hilt or a hilt guard. You can see in this picture that the knife is being penetrated perpendicular to the surface of the skin. This as an hilt. Hilt is coming in contact with the surface of the skin, thus destructing the epidermal layer of the skin, resulting abrasion. So these are few hilt abrasions. What is the depth of the wound? The depth of the wound is always greater than the length of the wound. The shape depends upon the type of the weapons being used. Length is always lesser than the breadth. Breadth is always lesser than the depth of the wound. So what are the different types of weapons that is being used in case of stab injury? The knife has two edges. Both the edges are sharp. Then what type of wound it can result? It can produce spindle shape stab wound. The knife whose one edge is sharp and other edge is blunt, so it can result in wedge shape wound. So this is wedge shaped wound, or teardrop shape wound. So this is teardrop shape wound. If the weapon is round in shape, then it results in round shaped stab wound. If the weapons whose one edge is sharp, other edge is square, then it results in fish tail appearance. If the knife is rectangular in shape, then it results in rectangular shaped stab wound. These are the different shape of stab wounds and different types of weapons being used. What are the medico-legal importance of stab wound? You can determine the type of a weapons being used, whether the weapon is rectangular, whether the weapon is circle or single-edged weapon or double-edged weapon. Then you can determine the dimension of weapons can be known. Moment of the knife is known. Depth of the thrust, direction of the thrust can be known. What is the type of force that is being applied, whether it's a perpendicular force or whether it is a force that is being applied obliquely. You can also determine the age of the wound. Manner of the infliction can be determined, whether it is suicidal or homicidal or accidental. What are the different complications of stab wound? Internal hemorrhage can occur. Why internal hemorrhage can occur? Why? Because since the knife is penetrating the tissues or organ, certain vessels will be damaged. So this results in internal hemorrhage. If jugular veins are damaged, then it results in air embolism. There can be pneumothorax, asphyxia. That means the person cannot breathe due to inhalation of blood. So these are few complications of stab wound. That's all in this video. Thank you and keep supporting me.